Thank you guys for tuning in to another Jock Talk podcast. Matt, along with Brock here. Brock, how we doing?
Doing all right, I guess. Could be better with a
Yeah,
Badger
we
win.
got yeah, that is for
Heartbreaker.
sure.
A heartbreaker.
Yeah, yep. Brock mentioned it. Could be better with the Badgers win. It is past midnight on the East Coast. It's about 11:30 here Central Time, so got a late night episode for you guys. We'll recap the Badgers game, talk a little bit of college, and we're gonna move right on to the NFL. We got our picks for tomorrow. We got our upset picks, and of course, can't forget about the What If Sports Game of the Week. Pretty excited about this one. Let's start off with the game. Obviously, the Badgers lost. Final score was 30-23. They lost to number 2 Ohio State. It was as bad as it was a finish. As a Badgers fan, it was a great game. Camp Randall was rocking basically all night. The Badgers played. They played a good game. There were ups, there were downs. Probably their best rushing performance of the season, especially from Corey Clement.
Yeah, definitely.
What were your thoughts of the game? Any takeaways from the game? Obviously, we know your initial reaction to the score was not that good, but thoughts and takeaways?
I would say overall, it was a great game to watch, definitely. But we get what we signed up for. We have a rookie quarterback, or not rookie, freshman quarterback. So we kind of have to live with the results, especially late game. You know, his nerves are kicked in. He's 18, 19 years old in a crazy crowd. Even being at home, it's just a electric energy. So those late game mistakes become magnified, especially in this type of game, a 2 versus 8, prime time. All the lights are on, ESPN, everybody's there watching this game. So, that being said, I mean, Hornibrook played a better game than last week. It was improvements. It's good to see every week. It's good to see he is improving. But it's still those late game mistakes are the ones that are killing the Badgers. We drove the ball down the field relatively well against this defense. We had over 300 yards in the first half, which is probably unheard of under Urban Meyer, not just Ohio State, under Urban Meyer. So that start of the game, they played fantastic. They would have obviously loved to end the drives with touchdowns, but settling for field goals, which will take the points. I get it, but you want to finish every drive with a touchdown. That's a goal, obviously. So that hurt them in the long run, not finishing drives, especially right on the goal line, and especially the last play in overtime where he gets sacked. You have to throw the ball. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it gets picked off. That's where I feel like he's hesitant on throwing those. I noticed one thing from Hornibrook is, as a lefty quarterback, he's looking to his right away. So it's kind of like his front side is still his blind side. You know what I'm saying? So I was confused why he would look. I know maybe his first look was there, but his blind side was his front side, and I feel like that's a problem coming from a left-handed quarterback. One thing you did say, Badgers ran the ball pretty well. We moved the ball pretty well against the Ohio State defense, like I said. Our defense played pretty well. It was just the late game turnovers. Not necessarily all turnovers. He threw one pick. One should have been an interception. We both seen the replay. The call on the field was an interception. I think it was hard to turn that one over. What did you think? Just quick touch on it. What did you think of that overturn?
I thought that the laces hit the ground. It's hard to not be judgmental, but I think that was the right call in overturning it. I think the ball hit the ground. It clearly bounced up, and he lost possession of it for just a second. But I think if you look at it closely, like the laces hit the ground before his arm gets under the ball and clearly bounces up. So I think it was the right call.
Yeah, I didn't get to
me,
see that play,
yeah,
but I saw the reaction on Twitter that everyone was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there were. I've seen more obvious plays not be overturned, and the referees rule it as the play stands. Would I have thrown a huge fit that the refs are blowing the game for the Badgers if they would have confirmed it or said the play stands? No, but the refs missed a lot of calls today. At least 3 or 4 holding calls, at least just on T.J. Watt.
Yeah, I did.
There was the
see
one
that.
clear one where I believe it was the left tackle or the right tackle was still holding his jersey while he was getting up to chase after J.T. Barrett from behind.
Yeah, he had a hold of him too.
Yeah, really bad missed calls that hurt the Badgers. You mentioned Hornibrook. He folds under pressure, and I don't mean like big time pressure, but when it's not a perfect pocket, it doesn't seem like he can stay calm and step up and throw a good pass. He
did do that a couple times. I did see.
He had a couple of great throws, but when the pressure's coming right up the middle, not from the outside, it's not like he can't. I don't think he handles that well enough. Now he is a redshirt freshman, so I think he's gonna get better. Like you said, on that last play of the game, he had time to throw because he pump faked, but you just had to throw that ball up and let whatever happens.
Yeah, it was do or die at that point, so you might as well do it.
Yeah. Badgers 450 yards of total offense. Pretty even, 236 rushing, 214 passing. Corey Clement, 164 yards rushing. Jazz PV, 6 rushes for 70 yards. The PV sweep was trending on Twitter a little bit earlier today, but the defense overall, a lot of bend but don't break situations. They towards the end of the game started to shoot themselves in the foot, missing some tackles here or there. They were tough tackles, but tackles that probably should have been made. In overtime, the Buckeyes had, I believe, 2 holding calls that made it like 1st and 15 and then 2nd and 13, and Ohio State was able to get like 10 or 11 yards each, which kind of hurt. Overall, like I said, it was a really good game against a really good team. I think that this team is the second best team in the country. Second or third, I think them and Michigan are a toss-up. I think, however, Alabama is far and away the best team in the country. This is Alabama's world, and we're just living in it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Bama is just showing their dominance again.
With a true freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane to think how good he will get in the next 2 years.
Yep.
Other news and notes from college football, though. It's going to be a crazy finish in the ACC. Today, Syracuse upset Virginia Tech, who last week upset North Carolina. And then North Carolina this week upset Miami, who was upset last week by Florida State. So the ACC standings outside of Clemson staying unbeaten narrowly.
Oh.
Yeah, if that game would have ended in regulation as it probably should have,
yes,
ACC would be the ACC and the playoff picture would be totally up in the air. But do you have any other comments, news from the Badgers or college football?
No, but I know I will say this: Louisville, my train that I started, I'm the conductor. I'm the head of it. Lamar Jackson had a human game this week.
Yeah.
They did survive. It was a tough test. Duke is an underrated football team. They're known for basketball, but they're all right at football. They won the ACC last year, I believe.
2 years.
2 years ago. That's right.
I believe so.
One of the two. So they're still a good football team, but Louisville
Definitely
did come out with a win, seven rank. I think they will move up maybe one spot depending on how the rankings go. We don't know this year. Lamar Jackson, like I said, had another 2 touchdown game, so it keeps his Heisman hopes very, very much stable. As of right now, who do you have as your top 4 for the Heisman?
Top 4. I don't even know if it's necessary to go top 4. Christian McCaffrey has had a human type season. He's actually didn't play today in a Stanford win over Notre Dame, who's just been going downhill fast.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
Brian Kelly's job's on the line.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook, I guess, is in there. So if I had to go top 4, Lamar Jackson, number 1. And then in no specific order, 2, 3, and 4, you got Dalvin Cook, J.T. Barrett, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just I would substitute any one of them. It doesn't really matter. I have Jabril Peppers in there.
Ooh,
He is an electric. He is very electric. Did you see that punt return he had last week? Got called back for a holding. He did a spin move hurdle. I have never seen anything like that. And he was like almost untouched. It was insane in a dominating win over Rutgers.
Yeah.
Which it didn't matter if he scored; they were going to do it anyways.
The reason why I did not have Jabril Peppers in there, other than I just forgot about him, is as much as the Heisman is supposed to be about who's the best player in the country, it's a stats award. And
it really is.
He has a lot of as he could possibly be the best player in the country. I don't think Lamar Jackson's the best player in the country, but he's going to have the best numbers probably.
Yeah.
Or at least does right now. But he has a lot of work to do. He needs a lot more touches on offense.
Or at least kick returns.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's. I think that's a clear-cut top 5.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the NFL. Packers last week coming off another game where they were really good in the first half, maybe subpar in the second half, especially on offense. Started to get stale a little bit, but they did come away with the win.
It didn't help. Eddie went down.
Eddie Lacy went down. James Starks went down. I don't know if he tweaked his knee late in that game or early this week in practice, but looking forward to tomorrow or today for you, I guess.
Yeah.
It does look like James Starks for sure is out. He has a torn or partially torn meniscus from the sounds of things. Plus, he's dealing with a death in his family, so he's not even with the team. Eddie Lacy is questionable, so it looks like Randall Cobb, Ty Montgomery are going to get some time in the backfield. Obviously, Eddie can't be in the backfield all game. He's not built for it. First of all, but last week, some stats. Brock, you went 7-6 in our pick'em games. I went 9-4. We did both correctly pick our upset. You picked Tampa Bay. We both picked Tampa Bay over Carolina, but Tampa Bay was your upset pick of the week. And then I did pick Buffalo to defeat the Los Angeles Rams, which takes our season record to a very, very respectable 36-23 for you, 35-24 for me. So we kind of know what we're talking about. Not to,
I guess.
Yeah. We got a pretty good slate of games this week. Obviously, we're gonna pick them all. We're gonna pick our upset picks of the week. But um, what are you? What are I know it's a week after the fact, but what are your thoughts and reactions from that Packers game? Like big takeaways a week later.
I would say the biggest takeaway is our secondary stepped up with Randall out, Shields out, a number of defensive players in the secondary were out or dinged up during the game. They stepped up. They played very well on a very electric offense of the Giants, especially with Odell and Sterling Shepard and Victor Cruz out there. So I would say we held them in check for most of the game. I will say we did get a little lucky when Will Tye went over that middle. It was wide open, and he dropped it.
Yep.
And just that was a that would have been a game changer if he was going to walk into the end zone.
He would have frolicked into the end zone.
Oh yes. So we did get a little lucky on that play, but overall, the secondary played very well. Our defensive line again stout against the run, putting pressure on. We don't even have to blitz a lot of the times because our front four are getting in there so fast, and it's fun to watch them right now. And we're going to have to keep that up, especially this week against the Cowboys. They have a tough test up front, one of the best offensive lines arguably in the NFL, in the Dallas Cowboys. They get to go up against this week against our number one rush defense. So I feel like one of the biggest keys to the game is we got to stop the run game this week. We are ranked number one in the run, but I mean, it doesn't mean we can have an off game. So I mean, they need to stop Ezekiel Elliott. They need to make it.
Who's the leading rusher in all of the NFL right now?
Exactly. They need to stop him and make it more predictable what Dak Prescott has to do. I feel like that's what a lot of people that he's played so far haven't stopped Ezekiel Elliott, so it opens up the pass, the play action, the rollouts, the scrambles, all of that stuff was Dak Prescott. If we keep the pressure on him, he will make a turnover. I guarantee it. We saw it at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
He tore a couple of years ago, the year before last, he was incredible. Then last year, once everybody got a little tape on him, see what he did, they shut him down. That's why he fell so far. Everyone thought he was going to be a first-round quarterback, but he did fall.
The other note that I have from last game is the rookies. Kyler Fackrell, Kenny Clark, big game from both of those. Blake Martinez continues to be a stud in the middle. But Kyler Fackrell, I believe he had 2 sacks, including a strip fumble that was recovered by Kenny Clark, the other rookie. So big game from him. Really excited to see what he continues to do. Looks like the Packers and Dom Capers are starting to go a little bit more calling his number instead of Julius Peppers. I don't remember seeing Julius Peppers for more than 10 or 12 plays last game.
Yeah, that's what I had a conversation with one of my coworkers. We're like, where has Julius Peppers been? Like, is he just hurt or what's going on?
I think they're saving him to be more of a situational pass rusher, so that he can stay fresh, and when they need that boost or when they need that break, he's in there. But you mentioned it, stopping the running game with the Dallas Cowboys is going to be huge. Des Bryant been out the last couple of weeks. I believe he's probable for this game, probable or questionable. If I was a betting man, I would say he's going to suit up. And then Tyron Smith, who is one of the, if not the best young left tackle in all of football, has also been out the last week or two, and it looks like he might be making his comeback. So definitely a big game. I know I have some family that are Cowboys fans. I know we've been seeing it on Twitter. The Cowboys fans are are coming out of the woodworks because they've been good so far this year with Dak at the quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott, and their defense has actually been playing pretty good these last couple of weeks. Their defense, there was a lot of negativity surrounding them heading into the season. Just the fact that they can't they can't hold their own with how the offense has been competing these last couple of years. Can't stay off the field. They're on the field too long. They can't force turnovers. But Morris Claiborne, who's been getting a lot of that negativity, he's had a really good season so far. But I think it's going to be a good game. But let's move on to a couple of our other games. We'll be able to talk a little bit about any of these other games as we're picking them. But this first game, Cincinnati is going to Foxborough. Tom Brady's second game back. He threw for 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns last game, 3 to Martellus Bennett in a blowout of the Browns.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, 2 questions here. One, what are you expecting from Tom Brady against a better team in Cincinnati? And who do you have winning this game?
I would say I expect a little bit of the same. Tom Brady's, I feel like, it has the fire underneath him, and you don't want that. We've seen it before. We've seen it all the other years back. When you piss off Tom Brady, he's gonna throw it on you for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and that would be at the half.
Yeah.
So, a pissed off Tom Brady is not someone to mess with. So I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up the same numbers, if not better, this week. Even though it is the Bengals, I think the Bengals put up a little more of a fight than the Browns did. But overall, I have the Patriots winning that game pretty handily.
This game was actually tougher for me to pick. I'm a big believer in the Bengals. I had them making the playoffs before the season. Obviously, they've been faltering these last couple of games, but I think with how well Gronk looked last week, breaking tackles, almost scoring a touchdown, with other weapons, James White looked good, LeGarrette Blount looked good, bless you, Chris Hogan looked good last week. I'm going to have to agree with you and go New England as well. This next game, 2 underperforming teams these last couple of weeks, as we have Baltimore traveling north to take on the New York Giants. I know a lot has been said about Ben McAdoo, Eli Manning, and that Giants offense. For as talented as it is and how well it played the first couple of weeks, Eli Manning has only 5 or 6 touchdowns through 5 games this year. Odell Beckham scored his first touchdown last week against the Packers.
With the incredible catch.
Yes, without a doubt. I thought it was out of bounds at first, but I think it was
Replay
clearly in. Who do you have taking on this game? Or who do you have winning in this game? Excuse me.
I have the Giants. I think their offense comes alive because they watch Step Brothers. I think that was a brilliant move. You can't go wrong with Step Brothers. You see that that McAdoo had them watch the scene from Step Brothers?
I did not see that.
Oh, yes. Oh, there you go. News for you. Ben McAdoo had played the scene where they had to eat, or where they made him lick white dog shit. And I'll tweet it out. You'll see what everything or something. I'll tweet it or something, so you can see it and everybody else can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm a Step Brothers fan, Will Ferrell and all that. So I think they'll light a fire under some of them, and I think the main key for them to win is just get the ball to Odell. The last couple weeks they haven't done that. They targeted him a lot against the Packers, and we did a pretty good job to defend that.
Oh yeah.
But they need to get him going. Get going early. You can't wait to end of the middle of the second quarter to get him his first touch. Give him a quick slant, a bubble route, a reverse. Get him in the open field. Let him make some plays. That's what you really need from Odell to get him going. So I picked the Giants in this game. I think they will take this W.
This game is tough for me. Just because I know Steve Smith Sr. left last week's game with a lower leg injury. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to suit up and play for the Ravens. The Giants are favored in this game, but I think I am gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think they've been running the ball really well the last couple of weeks. They've been playing decent defense these last couple of weeks. And I think it shows that Eli, under pressure, is prone to making mistakes. Not necessarily the interceptions, but missing his targets when he shouldn't.
Taking easy sacks.
Exactly. Next game here, we have Cam Newton returning from his concussion, and the Carolina Panthers traveling to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints.
I would hope so.
Carolina is favored in this game. Sorry, motivational music here. Don't know if you could hear that or not, but trying to play some Get Some to get me pumped up for this pick. Carolina is favored in this game, but I am going with the New Orleans Saints in my upset pick of the week. Yes, Cam Newton is back, but the Carolina defense has not looked themselves these last couple of weeks. This isn't something that we usually do. It's not something we've done so far, but my daily fantasy sports stud of the week, Mark Ingram, New Orleans Saints. Jaquiz Rodgers ran all up and down Carolina last week. Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman the week before that. I think the Saints score at least 40 points, and Mark Ingram is the daily fantasy sports stud of the week in this upset. Carolina loses to New Orleans.
I also have New Orleans winning that game, but this one will not be my upset pick of the week. I believe I have somebody else somewhere. Maybe. I guess we'll figure it out. Yeah, I think their offense is just a little too much for them. Kelvin Benjamin, I saw, was questionable. Cam, like you said, is back, but I feel if Calvin can't play, I feel like they might be a little better off. Because we saw last year without him, he played phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cam played phenomenal, throwing over everybody. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I have New Orleans winning.
All right. Next game, we have probably one of the best offenses so far in football. They've been looking great the last couple of weeks. In the Pittsburgh Steelers, traveling to Miami to take on a very underperforming team. I know there weren't a ton of people with a lot of high expectations, but probably to be better than what they are in the Miami Dolphins. Pittsburgh is favored in this game. I'm going to just go ahead and say I think Pittsburgh wins this game. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's going to be a lot closer than some people might think. I think it's like a 24-20 kind of game in Miami.
I also have Pittsburgh, and I can agree with you there. I feel like Pittsburgh seems to lay an egg against some of these weaker opponents. They play down to their level, but still come out with a win. But yes, I do have Pittsburgh winning this game also.
All right. This next game, I think, is a toss-up. I have who's favored, but if I was willing to bet, I would say that the team is not favored by too much. But we have Jacksonville traveling to Chicago. Chicago's actually favored in this game.
Yeah, I picked Jacksonville in this game because I think their offense will come back together. Julius Thomas has been out the last couple weeks. He's back. He's always a big target. He'll spread the field. Chicago has had trouble with the tight ends like him as the Packers do. I like Allen Robinson, Allen Hurts. Marcus Lee has been a pleasant surprise, I feel, for them. Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon have been a tandem in the backfield. Chris Ivory, not so much. TJ Yeldon's averaging a decent amount of yards this year, so I think Jacksonville. I have picked Jacksonville, I feel like, almost every week, and it hasn't worked out. But I feel like Jacksonville will win this game.
Let's see here. Last week, what does it look like last week for Jacksonville? They had the bye week last week, didn't they?
Yep.
They did. I agree, because I think this is, as of right now, this is the lowest line in the NFL. Chicago is only favored by 1.5 points, which is the least in the Week 6 slate of games. But I agree. I think Jacksonville wins it. I think Chicago looked really good last week with Jordan Howard having a really good game for them, looking like a reincarnation of Matt Forte, running the ball, catching the ball. But I think Jacksonville gets too much pressure on either. I'm assuming it's going to be Brian Hoyer starting.
It is Hoyer.
Jay Cutler. But I'm going to go with Jacksonville because of their defense, actually.
One thing I will say about the Bears, Brian Hoyer hasn't thrown an interception this year since he started. So, quick question. Does Brian Hoyer keep the starting job when Jay Cutler is fully healthy?
Absolutely. Unless he goes out and he lays a massive egg, absolutely. He'd have to throw for 86 yards and 3 interceptions in a blowout loss for Jay Cutler to get the starting job back.
Yeah, I agree. It's Jay Cutler. I think his time is almost up. I think his time up in Chicago is just about done.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could be a starting quarterback somewhere in this league. You know what? I'm gonna go on a limb. Jay Cutler. If Jay Cutler was in Miami right now, the Miami Dolphins would have a winning record.
Okay. I guess here's a fan question. A fan question that I got this week. If any bottom feeder right now, what a trade for Phillip Rivers, like say if Cleveland or Miami had Phillip Rivers on their team, would Phillip Rivers make that team better? Because we know Phillip Rivers' time in San Diego is probably coming up.
Right.
The team's underperformed. They have had some bad losses. I thought they were going to lose this week because they gave up an onside kick. Trevor Siemian couldn't get it to the end zone, 50 yards. So if they would have lost that game, I feel like Phillip Rivers would be on the market. So that being said, your answer is?
The question is if he went to
Or
a
okay,
worse team.
let me rephrase the question. Why hasn't anybody tried to trade for Philip Rivers?
I think it's because San Diego's asking. San Diego's asking too much. I don't know what his contract looks like, but if I'm San Diego, I'm not taking anything less than a first round pick for him.
I could agree with that.
I'm not gonna pull a Randy Moss trade and get a fourth round draft pick and him go and catch 20 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If I'm San Diego, but if I'm just looking at the list of teams of who could actually benefit and possibly make a run towards the playoffs with Philip Rivers. You mentioned Miami. I think this season's already lost for them. Not Cincinnati. They have a quarterback. Baltimore has a quarterback. The Giants have a quarterback. Carolina and New Orleans have a quarterback. Chicago, maybe. I think this season's done for them. I think they're focused on rebuilding for next year. I don't think Ryan Pace, their general manager, doesn't want to trade a draft pick. If I had to pick two or three teams who would be the best fit, they can't necessarily make this trade, but Los Angeles, I think if the Rams had Philip Rivers, that would be a great fit for them. Obviously, they can't do it with I mean, they wouldn't do it with Jared Goff sitting there, but also with what they gave up to pick Goff. Cleveland, I think they're missing more than just a quarterback.
Yeah.
So for me, it's between LA, the San Francisco 49ers. Their defense has stepped up a little bit, but they don't have the weapons or the offensive line to make a run, I don't think. But the team who I think would benefit the most from trading for him would be the New York Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
If you trade Ryan Fitzpatrick and I doubt that the Jets would give it up, but Ryan Fitzpatrick and a first round draft pick, if I'm the Chargers, I take that.
Yeah.
Trade. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a quality starting quarterback, and you get a first round draft pick to rebuild. Say you send a third rounder with Philip Rivers for Ryan Fitzpatrick and a first round pick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think he gets traded. I mean, you don't see the big blockbuster trades in the NFL, unfortunately. I know we talked about that in our first show. But that's one of my least favorite, or that's one of my most heated debate arguments is Philip Rivers isn't a good quarterback because he doesn't make it to the playoffs and doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. Dan Marino doesn't have a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
And he's considered a top 5 quarterback of all time.
Yep.
So, mini rant over.
Fix back. Let's go. We sidetracked a little bit, but oh well.
We did. This next game, the Buffalo Bills are favorited against Colin Kaepernick-led San Francisco 49ers. One, does Cap make this team better, and does he perform well? Two, who do you have winning the game?
I think Kaepernick does make this team better because it's the Chip Kelly offense. That's why I say that. I wouldn't say that if it was Harbaugh or anybody else, really. I think this Chip Kelly offense, I think Colin Kaepernick makes it better. I'm not saying it makes it that much better because they have limited options on the outside. Carlos Hyde is a very good running back, but he can't make every play, and Colin Kaepernick can't make any play or every play. I do have the Bills winning this one. I think their defense has stepped up the last few weeks and have played phenomenal. Tyrod Taylor has performed a lot better. Their offensive line, the play calling since that since they fired their offensive coordinator, it seemed like they're playing a lot better.
With the exception of Tyrod Taylor lining up under the left guard trying to take a snap.
Yeah, I mean, that can't happen. that can't happen. But overall, I think the Bills take this.
Yeah, I agree with the pick. I have Buffalo winning as well. I know it's been a hot topic, obviously, all season with Kaepernick, but a lot of people have been calling for him to start for a couple of weeks now. People are saying Chip Kelly is setting him up for failure. Buffalo's got a really good defense. They've got a great secondary. But if it's kind of being hypocritical for the media saying that they're setting him up for failure. First, they're calling from the start because Blaine Gabbert's so awful. Colin Kaepernick gives this team a better chance to win. But once Chip Kelly decides to put in Cap, it's like, oh well, he's setting him up to fail.
I saw that it was Skip Bayless who said that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't. What he said, what he elaborated on, he said Chip Kelly announced it so early to set him up for failure. I get that part because a lot of teams don't announce their starter until Saturday. And he announced it, Monday morning, Monday afternoon?
Yeah, but does that help get the media attention away from it? Who's going to be your starting quarterback, coach?
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't help the media, but it helps the other team. If you think about it, it's like who do we have to prepare for? Blaine Gabbert, because both of them aren't hurt. So are we preparing? Are we preparing for Blaine Gabbert, or are we preparing for Colin Kaepernick? I get his point, but why he said it.
The only reason I disagree with that is because Chip Kelly is so. The word I'm looking is so full of himself, and I mean that in as good of a way as I can. I like Chip Kelly as a coach. I liked him at Oregon. I like him in the NFL. Is he the greatest coach ever? No.
In college, he could have been.
But Chip Kelly will run his offense with 96-year-old Brett Favre at quarterback, the same as he will with Michael Vick 2001 Madden era at quarterback. He's going to run his read option. He's going to run the quick slants, the quick throws, and he's going to run the ball no matter who he has at quarterback. And
he did it with Sam Bradford
exactly.
Or he was going to do it with Sam Bradford and Foles.
Exactly. So we both pick Buffalo there. This next game, we have the Los Angeles Rams traveling to Detroit. Detroit with the upset of the Philadelphia Eagles, the previously unbeaten Eagles last week on a late game interception. Carson Wentz's first career. The Rams coming off of a loss to Buffalo last week. Who do you have in this game?
I have Detroit. I think they are riding high off that win last week against Philly. Their offense has been pretty good with the absence of Calvin Johnson. So I think they win this one at home.
I'm actually going the opposite way. Todd Gurley was one of 4 or 5 guys on my do not draft list. Obviously, if he would have fallen to me in the second or third round, of course I'm going to pick him up. But he's one of the guys on my do not draft list. However, I think he has a monster game against a banged up Detroit defense, and that's the reason why I'm taking the Rams to go into Ford Field and win this game. Next game, we have the Cody Kessler-led Cleveland Browns. Sounds like he will be starting this game. Again, after leaving the New England game last week with an injury, they're traveling to Tennessee to take on Marcus Mariota, who accounted for, I believe, 4 total touchdowns last week. And
he had a big game.
And the Tennessee Titans. I know you're a big Terrell Pryor fan. No reason not to be. But who do you have winning this game? Are you going with the upset? Are you taking Cleveland?
No. I've picked them last few weeks. I think will be their best chance to get a win. So far. So if they win, I guess I wouldn't be too surprised compared to them leading against Baltimore and all those other games that they've led in. But I have Tennessee. I think their running game is very good. Brown's rush defense isn't. I think DeMarco Murray. You want to have a stud? I will pick DeMarco Murray is going to be my fantasy football stud of the week.
All right, I'm jotting this down. I agree. I have Tennessee winning. You mentioned that their running game. Some news came out. DeMarco Murray said, I don't know if it was in an interview or what it was, but 95% sure that he was going to be traded back to the Cowboys last offseason. Obviously, if you're the Titans, you got a steal of a player in him.
Yes, you did.
Cleveland also, Joe Thomas announced that he was going to be questionable in this game with his receding hairline. I know how he feels about that. I'm questionable for our next podcast with my receding hairline. But I agree. I have Tennessee winning this game as well. These next two games are divisional games where the road team is favored in each game, so pretty interesting. First game, we have the NFC East. We have Philadelphia heading to Washington to take on the Redskins. Carson Wentz had a really good game, a pretty good game last week again, even with that late game interception. Washington is coming off of a win against Baltimore. I think that Philly gets back on track. I think Carson Wentz has a big game. It's mostly because of the fact that I don't like Josh Norman. I don't like Dan Snyder. I don't like the Redskins. I don't like Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
That? I guess I do like Pierre Garçon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Deshaun Jackson? I liked him in Philly.
Rumors are that he would not mind a Philadelphia reunion. I don't know that it'll happen anytime soon, but I am going with the road team, the favorite team, Philly, in this game in DC.
Yeah, as am I. You named all the reasons. I think the what I see, the Redskins give up over 400 yards a game, 360 in the air, and like 140 on the ground. So I think Darren Sproles could be in for a big game himself if I had to choose.
Yeah. Next game, again, another road team in a divisional matchup, favored on the road. This one actually really surprises me. I actually have to double check my resources to make sure that I got this right. Let's see here. Yep. Kansas City is going on the road to Oakland, and Kansas City is favored in this game.
Yeah, I have Oakland in this game. I think their offense has come together quite well, but nothing against that pretty good Kansas City defense. They had that one good game. Other than that, they've given up quite a bit of points. It helps when you get 8 turnovers in a game. So I don't think Oakland will turn over the ball very much. Maybe once, maybe twice, but I think the Raiders will come out on top.
Yeah, I think this game being in Oakland is about all. I think it's a decently high scoring game, mid to high 20s each, 28, 24, somewhere around there. Interesting to keep on watching, especially from a fantasy point. I'm a Spencer Ware fantasy owner. Interested to see how they're going to start divvying up carries. Jamal Charles is getting healthier and healthier by the week. He's wanting more and more carries. Obviously, you're going to want carries as one of your team's best players and as a competitor like he is. But I am going with Oakland just because this game is in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, really good um, cross country matchup. We have a team that's on a roll versus a team who's finally starting to pick up steam. We have the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seattle is favored in this game.
Yeah, I have Seattle. I think their defense is probably the best defense that Matt Ryan and the Falcons have faced this year, especially pass defensive wise.
Especially against the Broncos, or even with the Broncos.
I feel like that offense, the Broncos' offense, isn't very good. They don't have the experience under center. I feel like that's the biggest thing is experience. Their quarterbacks are capable, but when you have experience like a Peyton Manning behind center for Broncos, it doesn't matter if he can't throw the ball 30 yards down the field. He will put his players in the right positions to be successful, and that's all that matters. If you can gain 5 yards of play, you're doing something right. But when you gain 2, that's a whole different story. So I feel like that Broncos offense puts the defense in bad positions, and that's what happens. That's why they lost to San Diego. San Diego beat them too, so it's not just that defense. Something else is going wrong over there.
Yeah,
okay.
This game is...
We're going to steer it away. I picked Seattle in this game because, like I said, I think their defense forces something. I feel like Seattle might find a way to put Jimmy Graham in the game finally.
He's had over 100 yards in 2 straight games.
Exactly. They might have figured something out.
Yeah. This game is really tough for me to pick. I think this is the toughest game for me to pick out of all of them. I think, you said it, the Broncos offense struggled to put the defense in bad positions. But that game really wasn't even close for most of that game.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman ran and rushed and received and caught passes and just tore up the Broncos defense, I think is the reason why I'm going to actually pick the upset. I'm going with Atlanta in Seattle. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Russell Wilson has been finding his groove. You mentioned Jimmy Graham, but I'm changing my pick. I'm going Seattle. I'm talking myself out of it. Russell Wilson is my fantasy quarterback. Russell Wilson will a victory against Atlanta.
I'm picking a big game out of Christian Michael this week.
All right. Next game, Indianapolis goes to Houston to take on the Texans. Houston is favored in this game. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going with Houston. Indianapolis just does not have a good defense. They're banged up. They've been banged up.
Mm-hmm.
They're not giving Andrew Luck much help on the offensive line, on the defensive side of the ball at all. I think Lamar Miller has his first really big breakout game as a Texan.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say. I'm also picking the Texans. I think you touched on it also. I mean, I don't really have anything to elaborate on very much. So yeah, I picked the Texans.
All right, and then our last game before we go to the Packers-Cowboys, we have the New York Jets taking on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Arizona's going to win this game. I think it's as simple as that for me.
Yeah, they better. Yeah, I also
Monday night game in the desert.
Yeah, of Arizona. I think that defense is coming alive. The defense has been good for quite some time, but I think it's now David Johnson is holding it down on the offensive side and running the ball with some power, with some speed. Larry Fitzgerald, doing his thing. He's amazing. So yeah, I have Arizona.
Finally, we get to the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about the keys to the game earlier. I think everyone is going to agree the keys to the game. Packers need to stop Ezekiel Elliott. To add one more thing on there, I think that if Eddie Lacy outrushes Zeke, the Packers win this game.
I feel they need to force a turnover. They need to rattle Dak. I feel like that's their main thing. It's at Green Bay, so we'll see how he handles that. The brisk fall after.
Yeah, it's probably going to be
brisk fall afternoon in Green Bay.
Yeah,
it might be in the 40s.
I don't know that it's going to be that. Ooh, it's actually supposed to be pretty nice tomorrow. It's probably going to be mid-60s by kickoff.
Okay.
But still, let's see. Last week, we both picked the Packers to win, so we had that going for us. You had Eddie Lacy going for 100-plus yards and a touchdown. Close on the yardage, but for some reason they went away from him in the second half.
He did get hurt. He did get hurt. He rolled his ankle.
I had the Packers picking up 5+ sacks and a Trevor
close.
Davis touchdown. Not Trevor Davis didn't get in the game too often, but my prediction.
I will say Aaron Rodgers did target him deep and got a big pass interference call.
He did. Prediction for this game. It's going to be a Packers win. I'm going to go 27-13 Green Bay. My stat line of the game, I think I don't know yet. I'm going to say 2 players not named Eddie Lacy score rushing touchdowns for the Packers, which means another 1 touchdown game from Aaron Rodgers.
Why not, what's his name?
Ripkowski,
yeah. He could run one in there.
Oh, pull the old John Kuhn with him.
Yeah.
Now I'm changing my mind here. 27-13 Packers, Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards.
All right.
It's gonna be one or the other. It's gonna be the rushing game takes over, and Aaron doesn't have to throw the ball, or Aaron just airs it out over a secondary who's been taken advantage of in the past.
All right. I have running game. Has over 150 yards rushing. 2 touchdowns. And I believe we are going to have 1 defensive touchdown. Feel like this is the week that we need a big play from our corners or linebackers, getting a pick 6, getting a strip fumble 6. Something's got to happen this week to fluster Dak Prescott. Make him play from behind. Let's see what he can really do from behind. Make it early. Make it early pick 6. First play of the game, pick 6 right off the bat. Let's see it. Jump that slant route and see it. And like I said, 150 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't matter from who. I feel like team rushing over 150 and team rushing touchdowns too.
I'll
keep it up.
What's your final score prediction?
My final score is 34-23 Green Bay.
34-23 Green Bay. All right. The one thing I would say, Jason Witten doesn't do anything spectacular, but for some reason he's always wide open. He's a decent blocker. He worries me, but one of my fantasy sleepers to begin the year, Cole Beasley, also bothers me. Same thing. He's always open. He's a small guy. Doesn't have great top-end speed, but he gets enough to get a first down. So we need to watch out for him.
He's one of Dak's favorite receivers.
So we both have a Packers win tomorrow. But speaking of Packers win in our What If Sports Game of the Week matchup, we're both a Packers team is gonna win regardless, because we chose the best Aaron Rodgers led Packers team going up against the best Brett Favre led Packers team. We went with the 1996 Packers, who were the Super Bowl champion Packers, obviously led by Brett, with Edgar Bennett, Dorsey Levens in the backfield, Antonio Freeman on the outside, Keith Jackson, great tight end, on the outside. Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, Jermichael Finley, the 2011 Green Bay Packers, who went 15-1. The game is obviously being played at Lambeau Field. Let's run it. And the winner is the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yes.
The Packers,
I win.
Packers win 24-18. The 1996 Packers, that is, take the win. The Brett Favre Packers won.
Wow.
Brett Favre, 13 of 18, 207 yards, touchdown and interception. Aaron Rodgers, 20 for 29, 265 and 2 scores, no interceptions. Looks like the difference in the game was, let's see here, trying to,
Drum roll.
difference in the game is two Chris Jackie field goals. Aaron Rodgers, even in a losing effort, player of the game. Receiving,
wow.
Greg Jennings, 2 touchdown passes, 85 yards total. Mason Crosby missed 1 field goal.
Not Mason.
Yes, Mason. So, 1996 Packers take over. It's probably revenge for Aaron Rodgers calling Brett Favre grandpa in his first meeting in their first preseason together, or training camp together. But What If Sports Game of the Week, Packers win, just like they're going to tomorrow. Keep an eye on the Twitter, obviously. We'll be tweeting throughout the day with all the games, any kind of news, notes that pop up throughout the day. You got anything else, Brock?
You did miss the marquee matchup this week.
Did I?
Yeah, the Bobby Boucher-led team versus Margot Robbie Inner Thighs.
Oh, are we going against each other this week, huh?
We are going against each other this week in fantasy football.
I have a 9-0 lead with Melvin Gordon getting me 9 points. We're both projected as of right now 93 all.
It's going to be a close one. It looks like projected wise, but you never know. My team has been putting up quite a few points for the last couple weeks.
Brock does have Jason Witten starting at tight end against the Packers.
Right now I do. I might go in there and might have to change it to Martellus Bennett.
Yep.
Because we saw what he did last week. He got me a good solid 28.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't realize we were facing each other this week, but I'm ready.
Yes,
I'm kind of on a schneid right now in both of my leagues.
Yeah, last week you lost to JoJo for show.
Yeah.
He made sure that I told you that you lost to him.
Awesome.
So I held my part of that.
Yeah.
So he says you suck.
Let's see here. Inner Thighs, Brock. We are both 3-2.
Yep.
Brock's tied for first in a division, and I'm third in my division. So we're gonna keep you guys updated. Obviously, we're anticipating Bobby Boucher to run all over Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Not even
kind
close.
Of an ugly sight. She's the devil, mama. But with that, we'll talk to you guys next week. We'll have a good show for you. We're gonna have a college basketball show coming up.
Yes.
We're gonna have
Stay tuned for that.
We're gonna have another basketball show coming up with the first game on the 25th. which is coming up in a week and a half here. So,
Mhm.
with that, we'll see you guys next week. Follow us on Twitter at JockTalkWinc. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Jock Talk out.